Ethan had always sought out the unseen corners of the world, where secrets lay buried beneath layers of time and myth. His latest obsession had led him to Duskwood, a village shrouded in mystery and shadow, whispered of only in fragmented tales passed through hushed voices. The journey to the village had been arduous, a serpentine road winding through dense forests and over jagged hills, as if nature itself conspired to keep intruders away. But now, standing at the threshold of the Whispering Woods, Ethan felt a mixture of excitement and dread. The villagers had been less than welcoming. Their eyes darted nervously to the woods whenever Ethan asked about the strange occurrences he had read about. The few who spoke at all only offered cryptic warnings, their voices trembling with fear. "The woods don't like outsiders," an elderly man had whispered, his eyes clouded with memories he dared not relive. "Best you stay clear after dark." Ignoring the advice, Ethan waited for dusk. As the last rays of the sun bled from the sky, he stood at the forest's edge, clutching his camera and flashlight. The air was still, unnervingly so, as if the world held its breath in anticipation of the night's descent. With a final glance back at the village, he stepped into the woods, the dense canopy swallowing him whole. The path was narrow and uneven, flanked by trees with twisted trunks and branches that reached out like skeletal arms. The deeper he ventured, the colder it became, a biting chill that seeped into his bones. His flashlight's beam danced across the undergrowth, revealing glimpses of movement just beyond its reach. Every so often, he heard the rustle of leaves, the snap of a twig, but when he turned, there was nothing. Just the oppressive silence, thick and suffocating. Then came the whispers. Soft at first, like a breeze rustling through the leaves, but growing steadily louder, more insistent. They seemed to emanate from the very earth, from the shadows that clung to the trees. Ethan paused, straining to catch the words, but they eluded him, a maddening murmur just beyond comprehension. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing in his ears as the whispers closed in around him. The path began to twist and turn, leading him deeper into the heart of the forest. The trees grew denser, their branches intertwining overhead to form a canopy so thick that not even the faintest glimmer of moonlight could penetrate. The darkness was absolute, and Ethan's flashlight flickered ominously, casting long, wavering shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. A sudden snap behind him made him whirl around, his breath hitching in his throat. The beam of light revealed nothing but the tangled undergrowth, yet the sensation of being watched was palpable. He could feel eyes upon him, countless and malevolent, lurking just beyond the veil of darkness. Panic surged within him as he quickened his pace, the whispers growing louder, more distinct. They called his name now, distorted and echoing, a haunting symphony that filled the air. Ethan stumbled into a clearing, gasping for breath. At its center stood a gnarled oak, its bark blackened and scarred, as if struck by lightning. Beneath its twisted branches lay a stone altar, weathered by time but unmistakably marked with strange, arcane symbols. His blood ran cold as he realized he had seen those symbols before. In the villagers' drawings, in the old woman's mutterings about ancient rituals and sacrifices. The whispers rose to a crescendo, a cacophony of voices that seemed to reverberate through his very soul. He dropped his flashlight, the beam flickering out as it hit the ground, plunging him into darkness. The cold was unbearable now, an icy grip that sapped his strength and filled his lungs with freezing air. From the shadows, shapes began to emerge, indistinct at first, but becoming clearer with each passing moment. Figures cloaked in darkness, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light, surrounded him. Their whispers turned to chants, a guttural, rhythmic incantation that resonated with an ancient, malevolent power. Ethan tried to scream, but his voice was swallowed by the oppressive darkness, his cries for help lost in the void. As the figures closed in, their hands reaching out to claim him, Ethan realized the truth. The villagers' warnings were not mere superstition. The Whispering Woods were alive, a sentient, malevolent force that fed on the fear and souls of those who dared to enter. And now it had claimed him. The last thing Ethan saw before the darkness consumed him was the twisted grin of the ancient oak, its branches creaking in the wind as if in laughter, before silence fell once more over the Whispering Woods.